Welcome into a bonus episode here of Hockey Inside Out. The Habs had their skills competition over the weekend, and the hardest shot competition. That is the forte of Rick Green, who was one of the hardest shots from the bench. But the Montreal Canadiens, Kovacevic, Matheson, and also Michael Pezzetta, a lot of hundreds. How impressed were you by the hardest shot competition, guys, and what came about from those three guys, if not anyone else?
Well, I'm not surprised those three guys were the top three because they're three big, strong guys, right? And having a hard slap shot, that's part of it. The biggest surprise was Alex Belzil winning the fastest skater. I mean, skating has been an issue for him, and he's admitted it. That's one of the reasons that he hasn't played much in the NHL. Kovacevic said after the competition that he thinks he might have cheated a little bit and got a little bit of a head start before the start line on the fastest skater. But and Harvey Pinard winning the accuracy shooting wasn't a surprise. But for Matheson, anybody getting over 100 miles an hour is impressive with a slap shot. And Kovacevic said he was happy it was the first time he'd had his slap shot measured like that and was happy to get over 100. But for Canadiens fans who might not have known a lot about Mike Matheson, even though he grew up in Pointe Claire on Montreal's West Island before he came here, he started the season. He was injured during preseason. He came back probably a little earlier than he should have, was injured again. He didn't look great his first few games of the Canadiens. But now that he's fully healthy, not only that slap shot, but I mean, what a beautiful skater. His edges are outstanding, forwards, backwards, his burst of speed, smart vision, can move the puck, and with that booming shot. So that's looking like a really good trade that Kent Hughes pulled off last summer, getting Matheson in exchange for Jeff Petrie, who has been struggling a bit in Pittsburgh this season. It's interesting, too. I wrote a column this week talking with Matheson's dad, who remember taking Mike to games when he was a young boy and sitting in the stands with him and sort of wondering, it was pretty cool if my son one day played for the Canadiens. And now not only is he playing for the Canadiens, but the GM of the Canadiens, Kent Hughes, was also Matheson's agent from the time he was like 15 years old. So it's a great story, as his dad described it, as surreal. But as far as Mike winning the hardest shot competition, I'm not surprised. And Kovacevic said it after the skills competition also. Anybody who watches Mike Matheson shoot the puck in practice knows that he has a bomb.
Once again, no surprise. Defense leading the way. If they're not scoring goals, they're leading in the hardest shots. What can I say about...
Never trust a forward, right, Rick?
The brilliance of the defense and how critical they are to make your team successful. But anyways, Matheson, I think we've all come to realize, just how good this guy is. His shot, now that we see that they're able to gauge it, let's use it, like unleash it. He's used on the power play. He's a good, smart player, and it's nice to see what he's doing for the hockey club, and what a great addition all round. And just I think it was a great day for everybody that was there and experienced some of our players, so to speak, and see just how nice they are and how interactive they are with fans and people. And really nice that they do that, and nice to see they come to realize that it's important to give back to the community.
I'm just sorry we didn't get to see Arbor Jakai in the hardest shot competition, because I suspect he would have won it. He reminds me a lot of Sheldon Surrey, except that he can actually hit the net, which I think Sheldon did about twice in his entire career. But man, he put hurt on some glass behind the net, I'll tell you that, and shattered some sticks. I covered a good part of Sheldon's career here, and the most maddening thing was to get it all teed up on the power play. Sheldon goes for the big slapper, and the stick just dissolves, I think that happened to Kovacevic last night, didn't it? Had a stick go south on him. But the other guy I would have liked to have seen in that, just to see how hard his shot is Caulfield. It looks like he has a really hard shot for a little guy. He gets it off so quickly. It would have just been interesting to me to see how he did. As for that shot, I just want the guy who can get it on net. That would be my first priority. And all these guys are pretty good compared to some of what I've seen.
Yeah, the other thing, hitting 100 miles an hour is impressive, but the record at the NHL All-Star skills competition is Zdeno Chara, 108.8 miles an hour. Shea Weber hit 106.5 when he won the All-Star hardest shot competition a few years ago. But getting back to Matheson just for a second, the other thing about him is that he wants to be in Montreal. And for years, I've heard so much about players who don't want to play here. He's a guy who grew up here. He obviously wants to play here. His wife's from Buffalo. They're happy to be here. And they have a lot of guys on this team now who want to play here. Josh Anderson's one of them. I mean, he's a name who keeps popping up as a possible trade bait at the trade deadline, but I wouldn't be in a rush to move a guy. He wants to play here. Nick Suzuki likes playing here. Cole Caulfield likes playing here. Jack Guy. They've created this culture. We were speaking earlier about tanking, and I was saying why it's not a good thing. They've created a culture now in the locker room. There's guys who want to play here. Jonathan Drouin spoke about how much it's fun to play in Marty St. Louis' system if you're an offensive type of player. Even though Jonathan hasn't scored this season, he's been picking up assists. So they've created an environment now where it's fun to be in Montreal. And you were talking, Rick, about the players interacting with the fans after the skills competition. More than about an hour after the skills competition was over, Mike Matheson was still on the ice along with Alex Belzile signing autographs. They signed every single autograph for every person who waited around after the game before they left. It was really nice to see. It was really impressive.
Well, the real question I have, though, Rick Green, what was the hardest shot you ever had at the peak of your powers in the NHL?
Well, I had to use my Canadian hockey stick that was completely coated with fiberglass that I would go through a total of 3 sticks a year because it just would not break. So I didn't thrive, obviously, on my shot or my scoring ability unless it was my critical year about looking for a new contract. But anyways, I didn't shoot enough, but I did find a way on occasion to find the net and have a career high of 3 goals a year.
I remember saving up my paper route money as a kid, Rick, to buy one of those white Canadian sticks because it's the same stick Guy Lapointe used, who was my favorite player when I was a kid. You never used one of those Sherwood PMP 5030s, Rick?
No, because they would break with a cross check a lot easier. But I'm telling you, those Canadians that were loaded with you could cross check, and like I said, you'd use a total of 3 sticks out of the year. Just wouldn't break.
Well, Rick Green, you are an unbreakable athlete for us here with your hardest shot, no question about that. Don't forget to send us your questions and comments. We look forward to conversing about that in a future episode of Hockey Inside Out. And check out the YouTube page for all of the Hockey Inside Out content that you want to check out. And sign up for the newsletter at MontrealGazette.com/newsletters. And for full episodes and bonus content, head on by Hockey Inside Out. On behalf of the hardest shooting hockey player, Rick Green, Jack Todd, and Stu County, wish you a great week. We'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.